Welcome back to this week's episode of Modern Day Heroes. I'm fired up for this one today. We got a very special guest coming from Canada.
Yeah.
I'm 50% Canadian.
Where are you from?
My dad was born in Lethbridge.
Yeah, Alberta.
There you go,
No
dude.
way. I've
Yeah.
partied there. I like Lethbridge.
Yeah?
Yeah, it's a big university kind of town.
Good, man. Well, fellow Canadians on the pod today.
Let's go.
Cool. We got my man, Dan Martell here. I'm part of his, or was part of his elite coaching group.
Oh, yeah.
Freaking man. And author of this amazing book, Buy Back Your Time. If you haven't read it, here's my plug for you. In the last week, I've recommended it to 7 people, and it's changed their life, and it's changed mine as well. And so buy it. And I'm excited to dive a little bit deeper into it today. So, Dan Martell, give us a little bit of background on who you are and
where I came from. Yeah, I mean, I always like to give a different flavor every time. So I always listen to my heart. Today,
feel free to spice it up on this
well,
one,
I'll just
dude.
tell you, I think people need to know what I do today so they can maybe want to lean in harder.
Yeah.
Okay, so today I run, over 100 million a year kind of holdco. I've invested in 100 companies. I got my own private jet. I fly around. I drive supercars. I live in cool houses and all that fun stuff. So I've got all the stuff, but what I'm most proud of is I've got an incredible marriage. Okay, my wife Renee is literally my best friend. Got 2 young boys, 10 and 11. I'm fit AF. just a fact, bicep veins, 6-pack. That's all new though. So that's what's crazy.
Recent development.
Last 120 days. So I'm allowed to be obnoxious for a little bit. And then, I built all of this coming from a place where I ended up in jail twice by the time I was 17. So I like on a daily basis, step back, I look out, I'm at my hotel, and I'm just like looking out the window going like, how is this my life? I don't know. I know why it is. I think I'm here for something big.
Yeah.
I learned that at a young age. And so my most of my money came from building and selling software companies.
It's beautiful.
Yeah.
I love it, man. A lot to dive in there.
Yeah.
Personally, you are someone on my top 5 list that I love learning from. And I can't tell you how much I've just learned from following you on Instagram. Absorbing your free content and your paid content, like massive value. And so anyone that's not following Dan Martell and wants to see some shirtless pics of Dan Martell,
starting to show up. That's
go
all
to the
Sam, though.
Go
Sam
to
likes,
the gram.
He said, what did you say? 6-pack sell? That's what he said the other day. 6-pack sell. I was like, dude, don't pimp me out, man.
Check out the gram. Let's go back to that. Let's start at 17-year-old Dan. Tell us a little bit about where you were heading and how you ended up in jail and why. Well,
here's the thing, Blake, is I share that story so much. That's not the story I want to tell because like you can read it, you can Google it. It's on every podcast. It's in the beginning of my book. What I want people to know, I think, like when I listen to my heart right now and say like, what should I share? It's the fact that whatever you think somebody else has accomplished because they were in a different circumstance than you, that's just a cop-out. Like it's easy. Well, that person achieved that because of X. They lived in this city. Their parents were wealthy. They didn't deal with what I dealt with. I am telling you that I was built by personal development. Period, full stop. I did not grow up in an environment that had any lineage of anything positive. My mom was an alcoholic. My dad was never home. Their parents were both alcoholics. I was an alcoholic for a long time. It's crazy. Like I was a drug addict, went to rehab, quit, knew better, and still started drinking 4 years later. 12 years ago, though, when my wife told me she was pregnant, I realized I had to stop.
Yeah.
I just wasn't in a good place. So there's nothing, and even the fitness stuff, the reason why I'm obnoxious about my 6-pack is because I used to weigh 265 pounds. And I couldn't get upstairs without getting out of breath, and I would never take my shirt off. Zero. There was no chance. I was just sitting there writing code all day long. I was like, had a keyboard cowboy tan and like pale. And, it's just, I find that too often, and I used to do this a lot, where I would see somebody that was winning and make up reasons why I couldn't. And I've just personally done so much work on myself. Like I haven't, like we were talking earlier about like your life coach and, you invested in my program. Like I don't have a budget on that. Like my coach today is $350K for one call a month. Wire transfer paid up front. If you like it, it's just at the end of the day, I know that the quality of my life is the quality of my thoughts. Period, full stop. I could have anything I want in my life today if I could figure out how to be more resourceful with my thoughts. Not even skills, because the skills are a byproduct of what I thought I should go do, right? Strategy, sequencing, all that stuff. So for my health and my mind, I don't have a budget, because anytime I've invested in those things, the ROI has been off the charts. And the reason why is because I will take me with me for the rest of my life. So you can have no money and be incredibly blissfully happy, and you can have all the money and be depressed and anxiety prone and taking pills and feeling like a sack of poo. It's just true. So I just tell people that, because like, you can say, well, I grew up and this is my reality. I didn't have a dad, or I grew up in this part of the world and it wasn't fair. And I'm telling you that none of those things matter. If anything, I actually believe that equipped you. So I know I'm who I am because of what I went through. Period, full stop. Dan's energy, excitement, drive came from going through just horrendous moments I had to resolve. The trauma, the setbacks, the challenges, the frustration. Because like I wanted to win. I failed in my business. My first 2 companies were complete failures. Dude, I was, anybody that knew me back then, I remember for a long time my drive came from proving people wrong that doubted me. And I think most young teenagers, 20-year-old entrepreneurs, that's where it comes from.
Yeah.
I'm sitting on the sidewalk. What row is it? It wasn't Elmwood. It was McLaughlin, the street called McLaughlin, on the sidewalk, staring at my buddy's house, Mike and Dan. They lived in this house, and it was like 100 feet off the sidewalk, big front lawn, hoping they would see me out there because their mom said, "You're not allowed to play with Dan." So I will tell you, I showed up every day to become a multi-millionaire to prove her wrong. And this is how petty I was. I wanted to make more money in a year than she'll ever make in her lifetime. And I did. And guess what? Nothing changed. So stupid. So I just want everybody, they're going to hear, you can read about me, you can watch me on Instagram, be like, man, this guy's really smart. I'll tell you, there was times when I wasn't smart. And I had to just, if anything, all I know is that I'm a student. I wake up every day and ask myself, hey, what did I do yesterday that I should probably change today? And I just keep iterating.
I love it.
Yeah.
I love it. Our friend Chris Smith says, you are your greatest creation. And the thoughts and the beliefs that you develop about yourself is the greatest thing that you can ever upgrade. And I love that. And so there should be no budget. And I think that's incredible. I want to dive in a little bit on your recent journey of just blowing up social media wise. At least people like me, Utah, Arizona entrepreneur, didn't know who Dan Martell was a year ago, maybe a little bit longer. Tell us how that path came about and some of the learnings that you've been seeing as it's massively helped you grow not only audience, but I'm sure financially in a lot of different ways.
Just even personal. Like, this is what's cool. I love, love, love that question, Blake. So what happened is there's a lot of people out there, okay? I'm not going to call them out, but I have a list of them. And you know who you are if you're listening to this.
We'll post it below.
Yeah, that are amateurs. And they know they're amateurs because I was one of them. Let me tell you what an amateur does when it comes to like truly having impact and creating content. It's all these people that are creating content, but they're doing just enough. I was the guy that used to brag about how little time, this is how you know they're amateurs, how little time they put into producing their content. I can shoot 16 videos in 2 days. I used to say this. I used to teach it to people. I used to be braggadocious about how I have a copywriter writing my emails and blah, 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 blah. And that got me, it took me 8 years as an example of amateur hour. Okay, I just want everybody to hear this. It took me 8 years publishing every week on YouTube to get to 100,000 subs. All right. Some people would be ecstatic. 100,000 is actually 0.1% of YouTube channels. It's crazy grateful, appreciate it. But that period was Dan Martell acting like an amateur. And what happened was that book comes out, Buy Back Your Time. And I honestly, my publisher, I asked him once, like, what would make you happy? Because I'm busy. Like, I literally run companies. I don't have time to like do the whole thing you want, whatever. But they wrote me a check for the book. So I was like, I got to at least honor that. conversation. They said 4,000 copies would be great. And I remember the moment we had like an internal book group, like a pre-launch, a street team, they called it or something. And we gave the PDF out to the first, like the finished version of the book. So this would be the first time people that didn't know me were reading the book. Like I didn't know personally.
Yeah.
And when the feedback came into the group, we had a Facebook group, private group. And when they started every chapter, I was like, oh, you like it? They're like, no, dude, this is a game changer. What are you talking about? This could be one of the top 5 books I've ever read. What? Yeah, no, this is like, Dan, you have a book. I'm like, what do you mean? They're like, there are some books that are books. And it was funny because like at first I was like, oh, I don't want that pressure. Because I knew what that would mean if I said, okay, let's do this. It probably about 2 weeks where I kind of pushed it away. I remember talking to my assistant. She's like, are we going to do this or not?
Interesting.
Like if you actually looked at the timelines for when I decided to actually run a book launch, I did the online event a week before the book went on sale, like the big online thing. Most people like 6 weeks before, 12 weeks before. Some people promote the book for 6 months prior with the pre-release and the da-da-da. And I just decided to go pro. Literally, Stephen Pressfield wrote a book called Turning Pro. I know how to attack problems. I just didn't even make it a thing. It was like a side thing I did because I really wanted to write this book. It was on my heart, but I hired book team, I had a book CEO, I had an agent, like I did the buyback principle for the book. I was busy starting another company. We're going to start buying a company a month. Like, which thing should I focus on? How about the $100 million that you know what I mean? And my whole life shifted when I realized I was playing small.
What allowed you to see that?
My bank account, my calendar. My bank account, my calendar. It's that simple. If you tell me something's important to you, you got to show me how much money you're deploying to that and how much time you deploy to it. And I looked at my calendar and there was like maybe an hour a week on any conversation that sounded like content and maybe 4,000, 5,000 a month. Dude, that was probably the smallest budget I had in any of my businesses for stuff like that.
Walk us through today.
Oh, today in the last year, we've put almost $1 million to work. Last month alone, we had 36 million. Sam, I don't want to misquote words. 36 million last month? 36 million eyeballs on our content.
Wow.
1 month. We went from 8 years to 100K. Sam, correct me if I'm wrong. 9 months to 200K? 8 months to it just writes itself. 8 years, 100K. 8 months, 200K. We're going to be 300K in probably 5 months. We grew our Instagram by like 5X. We've got viral posts. We got one going on right now that just hit like, it's like top. Our Instagram game, our TikTok game, my LinkedIn's actually what I'm really proud of. I've been working with our writer.
Yeah,
it's pretty awesome. And the book keeps selling more copies every week than the previous week. It's top 4. This morning when I checked top 4 in business, it's in the world of all books on Amazon, it's 2,000.
Cool.
But it's top 4 in business. So that's been the output of deciding to go pro. But what pro meant was like dedicate to it and just make the decision. And it required a lot of people to restructure life. I had to renegotiate every relationship I had with all my business partners.
Wow.
100%. I didn't do it until I called them. I called them all and said, here's what I'm thinking of doing.
Why is that?
Because what people don't realize when you're I don't like the word high level, but when you got a lot of stuff going on, okay? People you have a rhythm in your life, and you've made agreements with people. So it's like if you're a company I invested in, there's an unsaid agreement that if you text me, I'm going to text you back. If you're a CEO of one of my companies or one of my companies, there's an agreement that like maybe every 2 weeks we meet for 90 minutes to talk about vision, whatever it is. Like the calendar was designed around all this. And I was saying clear 80%. That's my rule, 80%. If you want to like really level up, 80% of your calendar has to be different. So I had to look at, and I teach it in the book, I had to look at 80% of my calendar and say, what can go? Who do I need to hire? How do I restructure it? Called this guy, Sam, my creative director and business partner, sitting right next to us right now.
Sam's the man.
Sam is the man. We got to get him on the pods more, but he's sitting there.
He's got a GT4 if you guys want to check it out.
Yep, that was a little bit of a gift, just a little blessing. I just so grateful for him. But I called him up. I remember that day. I said, hey, Sam, I'm going all in. We're effing doing this. We're going to get a studio. We're going to build a team. We're going to go all pro. You pretty much have an unlimited budget. But if you want to be the guy to do this with me, you got to move. he didn't even hang up. He didn't like, I got to think about it. He said, yep, I'm in. Drove 3,500 miles, 48 hours straight, crossed Canada with his buddy Matisse, and both of those guys showed up at my house.
Wow.
I lied to my wife. I said, he's here for a week. That turned into 2 and then 4 weeks. And yeah, eventually they found a spot. But yeah, it's been a blessing, man. I'll tell you, this trip too, coming to Nashville. So it hasn't even been a year. Isn't that crazy? It's been 11 months.
Since you went pro.
It's literally since we started this, it'll be a year this month, like the end of the month.
Wow.
And even yesterday, I went and I spoke at an event, and I was walking down the hallway, and a guy looks up. I'm on my phone. He looks up, and he has a moment. He's like, oh, you're Dan Martell. And I'm like, oh, dude, I'm not that cool. Like, I could tell he was really excited to see me. I'm like, no, calm down, man. Like, I'm not that cool, and I'm just going to disappoint you. He's like, man, I've been reading your stuff. I've read your book. I've been watching your stuff. I can't believe you're here. And I was like, dude. And then he looks at Sam. He goes, dude, you're the guy that's got the GT4. And I was like, yeah, he's the guy. He's famous. Bug him. And then Ann's behind me. Oh, my God, you're Ann. I'm like, yeah, these are real people. So, man, it's cool. Like, it's cool because here's the thing I love. When I get to hang out with you, we're talking about stuff that you want to add to.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, I want to add to what I've done. I don't want to tell people what I've done. I want you, hopefully, if I do a good job, you'll know what I'm up to. And then you go, hey, man, how did you get fit? How did you go buy that company? Why did you give Sam that car? I want to have that conversation because the content doesn't get everything. It can't. Reels, algorithms, short form, long form. So that part has been my favorite part. And just knowing, and this is the neat thing, and Sam's noticed it too, every time we meet somebody that follows my stuff, including our driver, Darius, they'll all say, like, that video really resonated with me. And they're all different. It's literally the thing you said about your kids, or this you said about your wife, or this thing you do in business or your team. I'm like, interesting. So I think everybody's on a different, kind of like they're looking through the world through different filters. And that's why the variety has to be there, because you don't know what thing you're going to talk about that's going to get them in. And then they subscribe, then you're part of their life. And I know for me, man, I've been mentored from afar from people that I admire through their social media content. I've never met them. I bought their courses. I've done their coaching, but and I think that's just a cool world we live in.
I'm interested. I want to hear about what the 80% of your calendar looks like now versus 12 months ago.
Yep.
Specifically on content. And so you're speaking to the people that say, hey, I want to go blow up. I want to go build my brand. I have a brand. I just want to go market it.
Do they really, though, you think? Let's talk. Do you really? Okay, let's say they do. Are you saying what needs to change?
Yeah, so walk us through what it looks like to be like, cool, I'm going all in. I'm no longer an amateur.
First off, you will not be able to pull this off at scale. And I'm only talking scale. If you want to do this half, I'm not your guy. If you want to go all in, here's what you need to know. First off, cannot miss. You have to find a way to monetize that attention. The reason why is that you aren't rich enough to fund it indefinitely, and it requires that. So that's where a lot of people make the mistake. And I didn't. I'm already charitable troubled youth. I'm not a nonprofit social media guy.
Yeah.
So, and I didn't want to do agency stuff. So some people do that by building the team, doing other work for other people that funds their thing. Gary Vee would be a great example, right? Gary funds his team Gary through VaynerMedia.
Yeah.
He didn't, and he didn't have to. But I'm just saying, like, some people do that. Other people, same thing. I know the power of dedication and a team focus. So what we did is we decided right off the bat, okay, we're going to create a coaching program that you were a client of. And that is the only thing we do. So I only had one thing that I offered, and nobody ever knew about it. Unless you follow my stuff, follow me on Instagram. We had a conversation. You weren't in there. And I did it on purpose because I don't like working with people that aren't swimming towards me. So what's beautiful about that is that if you build a revenue engine, and I actually shot a video, Sam let me, sometimes I get creative ideas that he gives me permission to do, because oftentimes he's like, that won't work. And I'm like, I don't care. Sounds like fun. There's a video I did called How I Made $3 Million in 7 months on chat. Me and Dan. That's Dan.
DM, right?
Yeah, just DM. If you just talk to every follower that followed you, everything you want is there. I swear to gosh, and be like, I do that. No, you don't. You liar. You don't, dude. This. I'll unfollow you and follow you right now. I guarantee you won't even message me. If you'll see me, you'll think, oh, he's too big. I can't message him. I know what you think, because I thought all the same stuff. I was the guy that was doing it for so long. Step one, monetize the followership so that you can reinvest in growth. Okay. And I like keep it simple. So I think everybody could just like sell a thing where they help people doing the thing that they're talking about on their social. Now, once you got that, then you redeploy into the business. So my whole thing is I use the buyback principle, which states you don't hire people to grow your business. You hire people to buy back your time out of your calendar. So when I looked at my calendar, I said, well, what are the things that are taking my time that isn't me on camera? That's it. I have one thing that Dan has to do right there. Like, until we get an AI-generated virtual reality world that can mimic what I'm doing, I'm the talent. So then I looked at that and I said, okay, well, what do we want to produce? What are some different outputs, right? We got YouTube, long form-ish. We got short form. We got different platforms. The creative side, so what are the inputs? And then the outputs, like what are the editing and all that stuff? And then we got to build a business. Now because I have the resources and I believe in this, I teach about it in the book, because I start with the who, not how. So I knew I needed somebody to run that thing. I didn't need another job. Called Sam. Sam, you want to be my partner on the creative side? Hell yeah, let's go. Sam runs the media side. The revenue side is the sales and the chat and the coaching side. Needed somebody to run that. Hired Todd. Todd's the general manager over Martell Media. So that's the engine. We got a revenue team and we got a media team. Todd runs the whole thing. I am 100% the talent. So what do I do at my time? I develop talent. I interview people, because we're hiring a ton of people. I'm thinking of my calendar. I do this stuff. I do a lot of this stuff.
Yeah, you do.
Yeah, I told him, I was like, dude, next year we're chilling, man. This is kind of silly. I asked Ann a second ago. I said, what's the most podcasts I've done a day? She said, you did 7 in Scottsdale. I'm like, well, that's fascinating. But like even today, I'll do 4 pods, do a keynote, go to a dinner, speaker dinner after, and pass out. You know, Coach Burt says, go to bed tired, wake up hungry. I love that. That's what I do. So I would say that's what my time looks like, is I'm doing meetings either with my GM, because we're ideating, dude, like just cool stuff, like, gift and send. We call that Project White Monster internally. We're working on a supercar collection right now. We're going to go do a bunch of We're going to go bless a bunch of kids, some troubled youth. Like literally, that's what my life is. Hey, what car should we buy to the collection? I don't know. Should we get a GT3 or a GT2 RS? Well, GT3 is manual. That sounds like fun. That's kind of the conversations we have in our media team, because we're just producing. We're essentially trying to say, what do we like? Because this is who I am. This has always been who I am. Let's put it out to the world. And Sam's like, we got to put the jet on there. I don't want to put the jet on there. Well, you should put it on there, you chicken shit. And I'm like, why don't I want to do that? What conversation do I want to have? You know what I didn't want to have? I didn't want that freaking ding dong in the comments chirping. Literally the kind of people that chirp. That's not a real jet. I'm like, what the hell definition of jet do you have? I don't know. It's a jet engine. It moves through
I'm flying private. That's about all I need.
It's my plane. Like, it's not, they're like, it's so funny, man. I was just like, wow. So I've, over the years, like
it's cool to hear that you have those thoughts and feelings.
Dude, they get to me sometimes. I don't call them haters. I call them confused. So I don't have haters. I have some confused people in my comments. That's fine. I get it. I understand where they were. Dude, I was that kid.
Well, it goes back to your inspired versus irritated analogy.
Yeah. That thing really got me. I remember talking to a guy one day, and he was saying that. He said, look, dude, you can't control how people are going to respond, but I know this. If you have a true desire to help other people, and by showing your stuff, your goal is to inspire them. Because he goes, were you ever inspired by the first Ferrari you ever saw? I said, hell yeah, I didn't even know cars could look like that. He goes, exactly. What about the first mansion you ever walked into? Oh yeah, I remember. I know exactly where I was the first time I ever walked into a house, 10,000 square foot home. I didn't know, like, what, that's crazy, right? Or first time I flew private, or anything. First time I visited $1 billion company and I got to sit in the boardroom and talk to the founder, and I'm like, I can't believe I'm talking to the guy that just built this thing. Inspired. The people that are irritated, the only reason is because they're not on path. I wasn't irritated. I was inspired. There's no haterade. I was like, dude, teach me. I may never get it, but I'm a student. I'm open to learning. So like my whole thing is I want to share it all, and I'll share the bad. I'll tell you the struggles, the pitfalls, the stumbling blocks. Like I have zero, somebody said it once, I think it was Garrett, it's my buddy. He said, the freest person in the room is a person with no secrets.
Interesting.
So what if you told the world everything, and then they had nothing to use against you? That is literally where I'm trying to get to. And if anything, it's not because I'm not willing to do it. It's just, it don't make the content. Every once in a while I'll say something. Like I did a post recently where I told people I used to smoke a pack and a half a day from 14 to 21. Nobody would know that. I never had to tell anybody, but I wanted to be 100% honest.
Interesting.
Yeah, when I tell people the person sitting here with a six-pack that hasn't smoked something, doesn't do nicotine, blah, 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 used to smoke a pack and a half of cigarettes from 14 to 21, I want you to understand I get it when you tell me you have a hard time quitting your vaping addiction or whatever vice you got. The guy that I'm not going to sit here and do like success theater. Like I drank stupidly until my wife said enough's enough and she said she was pregnant and I said I'll never touch alcohol ever day again, ever. That's just my truth. I don't know if it'll work for you. I'm just telling you what I did. And that to me I think that's why I think social media, when you truly ask like what does your calendar look like now? It looks like a whole lot of me trying to figure out who I am. And that's the truth. Because I think the most authentic thing you can do that will resonate with the world is just be you. I think hopefully, this is my hope when you see my reels, you go like, dude, this guy's really like, he believes it.
Yeah.
Like I'm not trying to share. I don't teach you other stuff from other people that did. I only teach what works for me. And it's not the only way to do it. It's just the way it worked for me. And I think everybody has the permission to go out there and teach people what worked for them. Like some guy, like literally I did a video of how sugar, I used to be addicted to sugar. Like it literally blew my mind when I realized I was addicted to sugar and stopped how different my thoughts were. And I could go have a bite of beautiful chocolate and peanut butter, some kind of fudgy cakey thing. I love peanut butter and chocolate. And 20 minutes later, I could see my thoughts turn to self-doubt and shame or concern or fear. I was like, whoa, because I was so sensitive to it. And some comment was like, what did he say? Dude, stick to your lane. You don't know about blah, blah, blah. And it's some fitness dude. And I'm like, dude, stick to my lane. Stick to what? This is what worked for me. What I say, I don't eat from 6 to 6. I don't know, try it. You know, people are like, oh, how did you do that in 90 days? My transformation. Dude, everybody thinks I'm taking TRT. I call it testosterone E and C for effort and consistency. Why? Because it's easy for them to think that because then they don't have to do it.
Sure.
Okay? My coach is so funny. Not only is it not testosterone, he wouldn't even say, I was like, what about creatine? Nope.
Wow.
What about BCAAs? Nope. He goes, how about Whole Foods, Dan? Hey, man, you're pretty, he's 250 pounds sculpted from granite. So like, I'm like, whatever you know and do, I'll listen. So literally 100% compliance, 90 days. That's just what happened for me. Will it happen for you? I don't know. I'm just telling you what worked for me. I think most people are scared to share because they don't want people to prove them wrong. They don't want people that they admire to look down on them. They don't want to be judged by friends and family. Who do you think you are? Next Tony Robbins? Like all this baloney. The truth is for them to overcome that is they got to go figure out who they are. Because if you know who you are, man, you don't have haters, man. You got confused people. Isn't that cool?
It's a nugget. I want to dive into two things here, and I want to make sure I don't forget the second one. I want to talk about your DM strategy because it's unique. And the first one I want to talk about is this idea of inspiring people. I get like, dude, I write every day that I'm going to buy a Beechcraft Premier 1A light jet.
Let's go.
8 seats, and it's going to happen in the next 2 years. And anyone that has a jet just fires me up. I want to talk about it. I want to learn from it.
Dude, I want to take you go flying one. Have you flown in one?
Never
yet?
flown private.
Oh, dude, Coach Bert's got a jet. Do you know that? Okay, dude, tell Coach Bert to take you for a flight. Go take him for lunch, man. Let him pay his jet fuel. I'll pay, dude. I will pay your jet fuel for Coach Bert to fly for lunch because that's how much I want you to get in that world.
I appreciate that.
Yeah,
I'll take you up on that.
There, I will 100%.
I'll take you up on that. I appreciate
$5
that.
grand. I think it's a bit much, but I would do that. As long as we record it, document it, we'll tell the world.
Deal. I'll do that.
Cool.
But I get inspired by that, and I feel the same friction of. I know I don't want my family to think this way or friends to think this way, that I'm being like flaunty and flexy. Is there a way to inspire without flexing or put it in their face? Or is it just they choose to receive it how they receive it?
Such a good question. Here's the challenge, okay? Your definition of inspiration could be somebody else's different definition. So I don't control what you define as inspired.
Right.
But if I just back into what are things that are inspiring, at the core of it, if we just like peel back the onion of like, what is the nugget of somebody that inspires? It's very simple. You know, they did something in spite of it being hard. Period, full stop. Doesn't matter if you're a 11-month-old baby taking your first step. I'm inspired by that. It doesn't matter if you are a child that, you know, loses in your soccer game, but I know you showed up and did all the work. And in the last second, when you could have gave up and just sat on the sideline, you went in there and you played out and you didn't get the winning score, but you know you did it. I'm inspired by that. So what's interesting is a lot of people confuse the size of the action or the thing that does that inspire. And I'm like, no, it's actually how hard it was for that person. Because I'll tell you what, me getting another jet won't inspire anybody. You not ever flying ever and having a goal to get a jet, when you tell that story, that's inspiring. That's more inspiring. Do you see what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So it's actually not the action or the activity. It's where the person was in the decision to go for it. And I think that's what people don't understand. So it doesn't have to be an object. It could be an accomplishment. It could be a personal trait. It could be adding a skill to your life. It could be a mindset shift. It could be anything. The truth is, though, is external visual changes or goals, dreams are easier for other people to see. So I found this interesting. When I was helping people get rich, because I'm really good at it, it's like my funny superpower. Like no problem. You want to get rich? I'll show you how. It just made them rich, but they didn't tell anybody, so it never changed anybody else's life around them.
Right.
Fascinating. When I started helping people get fit and they started losing weight, I didn't realize the tertiary, the response around the group. That got me excited. Because I know if I help one person in that environment, everybody sees it. So the reason why we think it's a flex is because it's a visual accomplishment. Dude, if you saw how much my brain has had to shift and change over the years, it would inspire you to the moon.
I bet.
Dude. I wake up sometimes and I get emotional, just like how bananas this is. Dude, I'm like, how is this my life? How do I get an email? I grew up in a small town in Eastern Canada. Ended up in prison twice by the time I was 17. Everybody thought I would kill myself by the time I was 20. And I get an email from Tony Robbins asking me to speak on his stage. I get a text message from John Maxwell asking me to hang out. I don't even know what to say, man. Richard Branson says, hey, come to my house in Switzerland for a week. When people see how hard I work, I need them to know that my work ethic is a reflection of my gratitude. And I will never dishonor the fact that I've been given a privilege to be in this position, and I will show up and I will fucking work. Not because I have to, because I don't. Because I consider it a friggin' honor. Because I don't get it. I don't even, I know God is good. Dude, that's pretty awesome. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So, hey, man, if you want to give me more blessings, I'm here. But I guess I also love the good lesson too. I'm good for all of it. So I just think that the flexing, dude, it's other people's stories. Let them have it. It's not mine. If you think that me looking like this and posting a photo like that is going to hurt your feelings, that's your feelings, man. I didn't do it because I was trying to make you feel bad about yourself. I did it because I was hoping that today was the day you decided to change your life.
Yeah. And
I think that the fork could be used to nourish you and it could be used to kill somebody. And my choice when I publish on content is not for me, it's for you. 100%. You get around me, you look at my bank account, you literally follow the transaction, you will see Dan does a lot of shit that makes him no money because he wants to help people. I want to see more people win than I want. I don't care. I don't some of these people on the internet, I call them cloth touchers. Okay, let me unpack that for you.
Please.
The cloth touchers are the people that say, look at me, pay me to touch the cloth. You know what I'm saying? They put themselves up on a pedestal. I'm rich, I'm powerful, I'm the smartest, and they teach. And all these people, they treat them like peasants. They literally, I've gone to these groups, okay, that I refuse to go to. These masterminds of people that they spend all their time talking about how many people they took money from and how little they did to deliver. They literally brag about it. That's it's the first thing they tell you. Hey man, I got 13,000 people paying me X amount a month. I made $4 million last month and I got 92% margins. Dude, tell me about somebody's life you fucking changed. I have no interest in that. They literally say, hey man, you come to pay me whatever, 50 grand a year to touch the cloth. I would rather I just want you to win. I don't care if you come around me or somebody else. I literally I don't need that. And I just think that if people started creating content for other people, it would change the way their content hits. Literally, you give me an Instagram account, I look at it and I go, nope, yep. Coach Burt, yep. That dude creates content because he wants other people to win bigger. He doesn't care if you ever buy anything from him. I'm going to teach you the best of the best. I will not hold back. I want to pour into you. You can tell, you see it in their eyes. So that's why here's the thing. If you see people doing things you don't agree with, you see some guy in front of his Lamborghini talking about stuff and think he's a douchebag, but he's got 400 million views on that video, then that should be a cue to you to go be not a douchebag and get 400 million views on your videos. And if you don't know how to do that, go figure it out. But don't sit there and be a hater.
Yeah.
I actually think you're a hypocrite. Get in the arena. Go figure it out. Go take that attention. It's like when people are like, oh, rich people are evil. No, some rich people are evil. Why don't you go get rich and don't be evil? Go take some of that money and do what you want with it. Don't hate on the guy that figured it out. You figure it out and go do whatever you want with it. Like, I just find that such a fascinating idea.
I love that. I want to talk about the drip matrix a little bit. We were actually just looking at it here. The longer I do business, the more I feel that the goal is to spend as much time in the production category and the investment category.
Yeah.
And the little amount of time in the replacement delegation, right? Speak to what you feel like is a healthy balance of being in the production versus being in the investment, or both.
Yeah, I mean, the drip matrix, for those that are new to it, it's, delegate, replace, invest, and produce. And it's kind of like top right corner is makes you the most money, makes you happy, right? Lights you up. And I think that anybody that has the privilege or the gift of discovering even just what it is that the world, the market rewards, right? You have high earned, abilities, and that you enjoy doing it. It's just like I had a meeting just now with a real estate guy, and I was asking him about his team and stuff. And he's like, yeah, I bought back all my time. And what I love to do is I love running the analysis on a deal. That's it.
Huh?
He goes, I love being in a spreadsheet. Well, good for you, dude. I don't love dude, you can pay me enough to
For sure.
up you know what I'm saying? Sure. But for him, he got rid of the other stuff so he can be top right quadrant.
Now, is there too much time? Like, there has to be a balance, right? Where it's like, you can't put too much time in that or too much time in the investment.
No, it's not like, the way I look at it is theory of constraints. So I always think to myself, if my goal, because you got to ask yourself what your goal is too. So begin with the end in mind. Sure. I can't even tell people what their percentages should be until they tell me what they want their life to look like, because that they actually could be living that life today. They just didn't give themselves permission. We just got to tweak some stuff. But let's say his goal is to purchase 1,000 properties over next decade. That's okay for him if continuing to do that is going to accomplish the goal. But if him being in that position doesn't accomplish the goal, then he has to look back and say, okay, well, where can he buy back some time?
Yeah.
And it may not be that he can't be in the spreadsheet. He just can't do 80% of the spreadsheet, right? Just like when I do my videos, Sam, 80% would be taking way too much credit. He does 97.8% of everything. And I show up and I talk to a camera. And then I leave. And then the thing magically turns into a work of art. So that's what everybody needs to consider. Now, you can't do that unless you have the resources. That's why I say you should monetize your content so that you can figure out how you can reinvest in the content and put off some profits, because a lot of people can't grow because they don't reinvest in the business, because every dollar they reinvest, they are like, well, I could have bought that second house or the BMW or whatever.
Yeah.
That's what most people's problem is. They don't realize they're building an asset for the future. My reach and reputation will unlock everything on my vision board. Already has and will continue. So I have an unlimited budget to try to figure that out within reason, to make sure that, again, with that attention, I'm going to do some good stuff with it. So I can't be mad at somebody else that has more attention if I didn't do the work to figure out how he did that. What I do with that doesn't mean I got to take advantage of those people like that guy did. So I think the right mix for most people, like if I do 20 hours a week of really good work in the production, right, where I feel like I'm really using my unique abilities and genius, I think that's pretty cool. Yeah. And it's just what I want to help people avoid is building a business they grow to hate.
Yeah.
And you know what? Everybody's got different thresholds for how much suffering. Like I just know I can go into the pain cave. I've done Ironmans and CrossFit competitions and ultras. Like I can suffer, but I don't want to. So it's like, hey, maybe there's seasons where you got to just put your head down and get some stuff done. You just don't want to have to stay there. So that's where it's like, even the optionality, that's why I teach these concepts in the book, is like, I want you to build the option to have to do that, but not have to. And I think when we start off in business, we start at the bottom and work our way up. So you might not spend a lot of time in the production side because you got to do all the other hats in the business. But if you're smart about how you build a business and you got the right profit, just reinvest and buy back your time. That's the whole concept. Don't hire people to grow your business. Hire people to buy back your time. I teach it in chapter 5, replacement ladder. It's 5 hires away from you actually having the thing you've been promised starting a business, which is freedom. Most people have 14 employees.
Yeah.
They just hired in the wrong order and delegated improperly. You could literally get rid of some of the people, restructure the business, and have freedom. But again, it's so scary. Like even the concept of being an owner, not an operator. Like just give yourself permission to say what would, and some people can't do it. So I always say, like, pretend you owned another business. Like let's say you bought a restaurant. Like if I bought a restaurant, dude, I don't know how to cook. Nobody wants to eat my cooking.
For sure.
So I'm gonna reach out there and hire a general manager. People are like, oh, that must be nice. Where do you find something like that? Oh, it sounds like there's a skill you don't have. There's a skill called talent acquisition. I am world-class at talent acquisition. There's another skill called talent development. I am world-class at talent development. I've been working with Sam for 6 years. He's 22. Do the math. I found him in high school. Saw what he was capable of. Poured into him. Put him in situations where it stretched him. Right? Talent development. It's a thing. Most people, this is like kind of this cool concept I've been thinking about lately. When people meet some people on my team, they think that I have this magic pool of hiring that they don't know about. Yeah. They're like, oh, where do you hire these people out of this magical friggin' forest? I'm like, that's not how it works. But here's the truth. You're not good enough for good people to want to work for you. Ooh, that stings. You are not good enough yet for that type, and wouldn't work for you if you can't fucking show up on time. If you make a commitment and don't show up because you're tired, that person will not work with you. If I bail on this guy after he spent 2 weeks putting a script together and he wants to shoot it because there's a production timeline, he's got a team of 11 people, he's got to keep busy and focused, and I bail on him, do you know how many people can't even keep their commitments to their own effing word, dude? I swear, if people went 90 days and just did what they said they would do to the people they said they would do it for and not allow themselves to cancel anything, they would find a new gear and they would understand what top talent is looking for in a leader. The problem is not the people aren't out there, is you aren't good enough for those people to want to work for you yet. They look at you and see somebody that's not serious. Top talent want to work with people that are ridiculously seriously and committed. Does that make sense, Blake?
Oh, amen.
Like, dude, this is the thing. They think it's this magical pool of hiring that I know about that they just don't know about. And I'm telling you, nobody in my company would work for you. Just even scheduling time sometimes with these people is so hard on my team. They go, hey, man, Ann will say this to me. I don't think that's a person you want to do any business with. And I said, I trust your opinion. Clear. When people show you who they are, believe them. So I'm just saying, like, that's a big, like, that might be the topic of my next book because I'm so passionate about it because people think it's this comp structure they're missing or this, like, org structure or SOPs. They literally read my book and they go, okay, I'm missing standard operating procedures. I'm missing an OKR structure. I'm missing. No, you're missing the point. You are not worthy of leading yet. Nobody wants to follow you. The people you would need to go on that next journey to accomplish the level of goals you've set out for yourself, those people will not see today the person they would need to see. It's not by chance that if you look at the top CEOs, the highest performing CEOs, these are high performers. You look at them and they're like, that person takes life seriously. He's not wishy-washy about his goals. He's not uncertain about his future. Most entrepreneurs are. Small business entrepreneurs are small business because they don't value their time. That one stings. Small businesses are small business because the entrepreneur don't value their time because they spend too much time trying to save money. They did not spend enough money to save time. Right off the bat, top talent ain't going to respect that. They think they will, dude. I had a guy that was like, he'd run to the door, shake my hand. Dan, so great to see you. Appreciate you coming in. I'm like, dude, can you just get your business running on track? Like, why are you shaking my hand? I just want the stuff to do when you say you're going to get it done. Like, literally, I went to his bike store. I talk about it in the book. And he thought, well, my business is my business because I know all my customers. I go, no, you are lucky you don't have a competitor across the street because I'll tell you in a heartbeat I would switch providers. You just happen to be the only person in this area where I live. But every time I do business with you, it's never on time. It's never done right. And you think because you show up at the front door and shake my hand, you know my name, you know my kid's name, that's okay? No, go in your fucking office and work to build the business. Go get better. Because you know the mechanic that keeps quitting on you? It's because of you, ding dong. Like he quit because you are an asshole. I don't know. How about you find out why you can't keep your staff? Dude, I have a friend who loses 70% of his staff every year. And in the delusion of that, he's convinced himself that that's normal.
Yeah. Industry average.
He says, dude, I want to throw a chair when he says that. I said, man, do you realize how stupid you are? I don't say this in my mind because I don't talk like this to people unless they pay me. That's my rule. If you're not paying me, I ain't coaching you. I'm just going to go to the social. I'm going to go to the internet. I'm going to save it for a podcast. But he's a guy that has not figured out how to hire properly or retain people. And I bet if I talked to every one of those people that's left his company, probably 60 people in the last 12 months, if I got on a phone call, I said, why'd you quit? For real. Nobody will know, just between you and I. Disorganized, changed their mind all the time, no clear this, said this, didn't deliver on it, hired this person, gave them this role. Like just basic things that all comes down to you are not a good enough leader yet to get top talent, and you will push top talent out the door because they have options.
And you get there how?
Being honest about self-reflection. I talk about in the book the clearing method about getting feedback. I'm the funniest feedback. If you talk to Ann and say, does Dan ask for feedback? She'll laugh because she can't even tell me enough stuff. I'm like, Ann, give me something to work on. Like, I'm not perfect. She goes, no, you're not perfect. Well, then tell me the thing I'm not good at. I just need to know. I won't be upset. I want to get better. If you just start off the day knowing that you're not good enough, I'm not good enough. If I was good enough, man, I'd have the stuff I want. Like, it's that simple. Here are the things I want. If I was good enough today, those things would be in my reality today. They're not, therefore I have to grow. How do I grow? Tell me where my opportunities are. Mentor, here's what I'm doing. Battle test this for me. Oh, geez, I never thought I should build a media company. I hired Ed Milet to coach me. On one of the coaching calls, he goes, dude, I got something for you. I said, I'm all ears. You know, I'm pretty awesome to coach because I just, like,
I bet.
Yeah, I just go. And he goes, it'll be tough. A lot of people aren't willing to do this. Top guys aren't willing to do this. But if you're willing to do this, I think it'd separate you from everybody else. So I'm listening, man. He goes, you gotta put it all out there. You gotta vlog the whole thing. The whole thing? He said, yeah, like everything. He starts going around all these things that he did in his life recently that were just next level cool. He goes, I didn't have a camera guy there. As soon as I hung up that call, I think we have it we have a vlog on it. I opened the door. I screamed at Sam. I got the other guy, said, we're starting a vlog. The whole thing, all of it. Record it, edit it, go nuts. That's Dan Martell Uncut. Most people don't know I have a whole YouTube channel. It's my Uncut. It's behind the scenes. I just wanted to show the world, this is my life. This is how I do it. These are my decisions. This is a day in my life. This is how I hang out with my kids. This is how I do it all. These are the people in my world. Like I just put it all out there. The John Maxwell stuff, the Tony Robbins stuff, it's all there. We put it all out there. So I just think you need to have people that you admire, that you trust, that are going to look at your thing and tell you, hey man, there's a blind spot right there. See this little thing? But the cool part, as a person that's further along, that 1 degree, people I coach, the 1 degree difference is a massive impact on their life because of their velocity. For a lot of people, when you start 1% better, it doesn't mean, you don't feel it. It's like going to the gym. Like, man, I've been going to the gym for 3 weeks. I don't see a difference. I know, but eventually, week 4, week 5, week 7, week 8, month 6, you're going to, like, before and after, you're like, damn, right? That's the impact. That's why we need people to give us feedback. And you need to seek it. Most people are scared to receive it because they're scared it's going to hurt their feelings.
How do you balance? That's not someone I'd take feedback from.
I don't ask. I don't ask for advice from people that haven't accomplished the thing I want. Period, full stop. I love my parents. My parents did not create a life that I want to achieve, so it'd be weird for me to ask them how I should live my life because I'd have the same life they have because they would give me the advice that got them that life. If I wanted to be an Olympic athlete, let's say, I don't know, high jumping, why would I ask my high school buddy Bob about my training program? Like literally, hey Bob, I want to be an Olympic athlete as a high jumper. What do you think I should do? I don't know, Dan, why don't you start jumping around? All right, cool, I'll start jumping around. That's stupid. Most people don't realize they should start acting like an Olympic athlete in their life. Like even the frame of being like going pro, if you were going to the Olympics, like if you said, look, I want to be gold medalist in the Olympics of your life, the Olympics of Blake or Dan. I want to be an Olympic. I want to be a gold winner in Dan Martell's life. Okay. Well, what are things that I would do? I'd get a coach. I'd get somebody been to the Olympics and they won gold. That'd be a good start. Cool. What else would I do? I would be serious about my routine. I would be serious about my training. I would look at it. I would talk about it. I would study it. I'd watch documentaries on it. I'd really like become a practitioner of the art of the thing I want to do. The other thing is, and this is the frame I share, is if you were doing that and you said to your friends like, hey man, I can't come on that your wedding, it doesn't work for me. I'm in training season. See, most people are worried about what their friends are going to think because they haven't decided to go for gold and treat it like you're an athlete. Because if you did, you wouldn't feel guilty about saying no. Because if you were an Olympic athlete and I invited you to my birthday party in the wherever, Hawaii, and you're like, hey man, sir, I can't go. I'm training for the Olympics. I'd be like, hell yeah, keep going.
Yeah.
I wouldn't be like, yo, bro, I thought we were friends. So the problem is most people don't know what you're after. So they don't know what you're willing to sacrifice. But if you told them something meaningful, like trying to do that, it changes the whole frame. So I understood a long time ago, even if my parents don't get me, they misunderstand me today, I'm okay with it because they just don't see what I see. I see that someday I will be successful. I don't know if it's in 5 years, 10 years, 15 or 25. It don't matter. I just know where I want to end up. And they won't understand that because their life experience doesn't map to that. So I went and found people that had done that and said, hey, man, how'd you do it? Should I move to San Francisco? One of my mentors, Ken, hey, Ken, I'm having a hard time in Canada, but I really feel compelled to move, but I'm feeling guilty because I just sold my company. And if I move, I feel like I turn my back on the country and the province that raised me. And he goes to me, Dan, you will do more for that area by going to San Francisco, going and being incredibly successful and teaching everybody back there what you learned than staying here. Done. Plane ticket bought, moved. You just got to watch out who you get advice from. You shouldn't share your dreams with people that got small minds.
Man, I've got 40 more questions. You ready? I'm just kidding. Out of respect for your time, man, I just got this one last question. We're all after freedom. Your book creates that. Your coaching creates that. Being successful creates that. Being wealthy creates that. By having the right people, processes, systems in place. For people that are entrepreneurs and are trying to create that freedom and they're trying to buy back their time, what are the main problems and like the similar difficulties that you find that people are getting the most stuck on?
It's the same ones. It's a lot of them are the time assassins. But it all comes down to things like what I do, nobody else can do like me. That's
That belief.
right
Yeah.
off the bat. Man, that's a crazy belief.
80% is freaking awesome.
80% done by somebody else, 100% freaking awesome. That's my philosophy. So nobody else can do as good as me. It'll take me more time to teach somebody to do it than doing it myself. That one will keep you trapped.
Yeah.
Because you'll just never make
Forever.
any progress. Yep. People are going to take advantage. I can't trust people. Like that's a big, just trust alone. Like people are like, well, how do you manage a personal account in your bank accounts? I said, I just gave them, they have my credit card. What if they do something bad? I go, I will call the police. Like, this is what's funny. When you work for me, I tell you, it's part of the onboarding. If you break the law, we will charge you. So you decide what you want to do. I really feel bad if you do it, but I just want you to know up front, we have an agreement. Like, it's really that simple.
Yeah.
Just tell people what's going to happen if they do something like that and trust they won't, because they won't. Most people are good people. Treat them like it. And guess what? You'll be surprised. They'll just be good people. Problem is most people hire folks that they know in their heart aren't good people, and they hope they give them chances because they got a chance and all that stuff. It's like, look, that's self-sabotage. Check that out. Most people do things they know in their gut they shouldn't do in business, because then it'll give them a reason to fail that nobody else will hold them at blame for. That's the fun one for me, is I watch people do it every day. They literally make a decision that I see it. I look at it, I go, ooh, that's a creative self-sabotage. Dude, this is how sneaky it can be. I had a guy that was scared to lose weight. Or he wasn't scared to lose it, had a hard time losing weight. And I kept asking why, because I have this whole framework about limiting beliefs and negative beliefs. And when we dug in, he admitted, never occurred to him, subconscious was there, that if he lost weight and got in great shape, like ripped, that there's a good chance that women would start making passes at him that he wasn't sure he could say no to.
Interesting.
Oh, do you think if you really want to be married and you love your wife, that you're going to not eat dessert and self-sabotage your gains if you believe that getting the gains might cause you to lose your marriage? That's a big one. But this is how crazy low-level mind psychology you have to understand that's going on under the surface to give yourself a fighting chance to do this. That's why I wrote the 5 Time Assassins, to give people a glimpse of where they could start looking in their psychology to start working through this stuff, or all the other tactics aren't going to stick.
Man.
Yeah, I spent a lot of time on this stuff, man.
I think people listen to this are gonna have they're gonna have some work to do.
Yeah,
me included after this podcast.
Me too, man. There's again new levels, new devils, man. I'm just gonna keep going.
I love it, brother. Well, dude, I got a ton of love for you. I love what you're doing, and man, I'm just grateful for my missions to lead, impact, and inspire through word and being. And you've done that for me when we just met today on so many levels over the last year. And I'm just grateful.
Thanks, man.
You're welcome, brother.
Here's what I want to do, Blake. Anybody, and you know this, if people follow me on Instagram, it's my favorite platform. The thing I get asked for all the time in that book is my standard operating procedures for my assistant. If you message me and you say EA, Executive Assistant in Blake, follow me on Instagram. So I'll ask, give me the follow. I will send you the Google Doc, ungated, no opt-in, no nothing, as a gift. If you don't mention you came from the podcast, the answer is no. It's that simple. You got to tell me.
It's an amazing plug.
I'm only doing it for you.
Take advantage of it. I appreciate it. It's at Dan Martell, right?
Yeah, 2 L's of Martell on Instagram.
I appreciate that. YouTube, Instagram, anything else that they can do to get involved? Tell us about your elite coaching briefly before we close out.
It's one of those things where I don't talk about it because I want people to lean in.
Come to.
Yeah, but here's the thing. If you read the book or you follow my stuff and you're like, man, I want to learn from this guy, just message me. Like, I really keep the business simple. I don't sell anything. I don't talk about it because I'm not trying to create desire.
I like that.
Yeah. You watch my stuff and you're like, man, this is somebody I think I could learn something from. Just message me. I'll tell you about it. It's going to be way more affordable than you think. And it's going to be even cooler than you think. It's my favorite thing I've ever created in my life. And
Cool.
I've built some cool stuff.
Cool. I
But
love it.
And it's not for software CEOs, though. If you're a software CEO, reach out to the guys at SaaS Academy. If you're anybody else, you don't have a software company, it's the best program in the world.
Retweet. Been a part of it. I can vouch.
Bro.
Brother, thanks so much for your time. Grateful
Appreciate
for
it, buddy.
you. And I guess we'll have to do a vlog on the jet, man.
Let's do it.
Okay, brother. Talk soon.
Cheers.